Okay, ready to dive into some seriously mind-bending stuff?
Always up for a challenge.
Today, it's all about AI. But, not just AI in general, we're going deep on Dario Amodei's vision for the future. Machines of Loving Grace, that essay.
Oh, yeah, I read that. Pretty wild stuff.
It is. And what makes it even more fascinating is Amodei isn't just, some tech bro with a blog. This is the CEO of Anthropic.
Right, the company doing all that work on AI safety.
Exactly. So when he paints this crazy optimistic picture of the future with AI, it's not just hype.
No, it really makes you stop and think. Like, if he's optimistic, given what he knows.
There's got to be something there. Well, so what's he actually proposing? He talks about this powerful AI where we have millions of AI instances, each one smarter than, a Nobel Prize winner.
Yeah, all working together or independently.
It's like, imagine a whole country of geniuses just crammed into a data center, all focused on solving the world's problems.
It's a powerful image, for sure. You really get the scale of what he's talking about.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Amodei says it's not just about intelligence, right?
Oh, so there's more to it.
Definitely. He talks about these other factors like marginal returns to intelligence or something like that.
Marginal returns to intelligence. That sounds pretty technical. Break it down for us.
Okay, think of it like this. You're trying to build the tallest skyscraper in the world. You could have the most brilliant architects and engineers, right?
The best of the best.
But if you're limited by the materials, the laws of physics, even just the time it takes to build each floor, you hit a limit.
So even with super smart AI, there are still these real-world speed bumps.
Exactly. Amodei points to a bunch of these constraints. The speed of the outside world, for one. Then there's the data all these AI need, plus the sheer complexity of the problems we're trying to solve.
And I guess humans are still kind of slow and messy compared to AI, so we're a limiting factor too.
Oh, absolutely. Amodei lists that too. Plus, just the laws of physics, you can't escape those.
So it's not as simple as just raw computing power, huh? It's how AI interacts with the real world with all its messiness.
Exactly. And speaking of messy, you know where Amodei sees AI having a huge impact?
What's that?
Biology and health. He actually predicts AI will let us do in the next 5 to 10 years what would normally take 50 to 100 years.
Wow. So basically compressing a century's worth of progress into a decade. That's kind of mind-blowing.
It is, but it's not just speeding up what we're already doing. Amodei thinks AI will totally change how we do research in biology.
Okay, so not just analyzing data faster, but something more.
Right. He talks about AI becoming a virtual biologist, designing experiments, connecting dots that humans might miss, just making the whole process way faster.
Like that whole thing with CRISPR, right?
Exactly. CRISPR is revolutionary, but the knowledge to create it was there years earlier. It just took time for humans to put the pieces together.
And Amodei says AI can do that connecting the dots thing way faster for CRISPR and for everything else in biology.
Right. He even predicts AI could help us eradicate almost all infectious diseases, eliminate most cancers, treat genetic diseases, prevent Alzheimer's.
Hold on, all of that, seriously?
Yeah, he even says AI could help us double the human lifespan.
That's a lot to take in.
I know, but it's not just some naive techno-optimism. Amodei's really grounded in the reality of both AI and biology.
It's like he's saying we have the building blocks, we just need AI to help us assemble them.
Exactly. And it's not just biology either. He thinks similar breakthroughs are possible in neuroscience, mental health.
Okay, now that's where things get even more interesting. What's he saying about AI and the brain?
Well, this is where it gets kind of meta. Amodei suggests that the way AI interprets itself, like how it understands its own processes, could teach us a lot about how the human brain works.
So using one black box to understand another?
Kinda, yeah. Imagine using AI principles to decode the human mind.
That's wild. What kind of applications does he see for that?
Oh, all sorts. AI helping us develop new drugs and therapies for mental illness, creating more precise tools for measuring and affecting brain activity.
It's almost like AI-assisted therapy taken to a whole new level.
Right. He even mentions AI acting as coaches for personal growth. Imagine an AI that helps you understand your own thought patterns, your biases, and helps you develop better coping mechanisms.
That's pretty amazing. But wait, doesn't he also talk about mind uploading? Like actually uploading your consciousness into a computer?
Yeah, he goes there. And it's not just sci-fi rambling. This is Amodei, a guy deep in the trenches of AI, saying it's achievable in principle.
Wow, talk about blurring the lines between reality and science fiction. But even if it's possible, that brings up a ton of questions, right? about consciousness, identity, what it even means to be human if your mind can exist outside your body.
Exactly. And that's what makes Amadei's vision so fascinating. He's not just talking about technology. He's forcing us to confront some really fundamental questions about what it means to be human in this rapidly changing world.
It's mind-blowing stuff, that's for sure. But it's not all about individual breakthroughs and pushing the boundaries of science. Amodei also talks about the ethical side of AI, right? Like making sure it benefits everyone, especially those in developing countries.
Yeah, he's really big on that. He's adamant that AI shouldn't make global inequality worse. It should help bridge the gap between the developed and developing world.
Okay, so he's not just a techno-optimist, there's a real humanist element to his vision.
Definitely. But he's also realistic. He knows there are downsides, like how will AI affect countries that haven't industrialized yet? What if some people, for whatever reason, just opt out of this AI-driven future?
Right, it's complicated. We need to make sure everyone benefits from AI, not just a select few. And we need to figure out how to address the concerns of those who are hesitant or afraid of this technology.
Exactly. Amadei is basically calling for a massive effort from AI developers, policymakers, everyone, to make sure we get this right. It's not just a technical challenge, it's a moral and ethical one, too.
So it's not just about building amazing AI, it's about building it responsibly and making sure it serves all of humanity. And that brings us to another area where Amodei sees AI having a huge impact, maybe even a scary one: peace and governance.
Oh, yeah, that's a whole other can of worms. AI in politics and international relations. It's both exciting and a little terrifying.
Yeah, I can see that. What does Amodei actually say about how AI will change the political landscape?
Well, he's very clear that AI can be used for good or bad in this arena. He acknowledges the potential for AI to be used for some pretty nasty stuff, like imagine AI-powered propaganda, surveillance, even autonomous weapon systems.
So the dystopian scenarios are definitely on the table. But Amodei doesn't just focus on the doom and gloom, does he? There's a more optimistic side to his vision too, right?
Definitely. He argues that democracies have a unique opportunity to use AI to promote global stability, human rights, all those good things. He even proposes this thing called the Entente strategy for how democracies can work together to use AI on the world stage.
The Entente strategy, I'm really curious to hear more about that. What does it actually involve?
Well, basically, he envisions democracies collaborating on AI research, sharing best practices, and coordinating their efforts to make sure AI is used ethically and responsibly. And, maybe even using AI as a deterrent against aggression from authoritarian regimes.
It sounds like a delicate balancing act, using AI to promote peace while also guarding against its potential for harm.
Exactly. And it raises a lot of tough questions about how we ensure that AI is used for good, not just for power or control.
It's clear that Amodei sees this as a critical challenge, and one that we need to address thoughtfully and collaboratively. But even if we manage to navigate the geopolitical implications of AI, there's another big question looming. What happens to us? If AI can do almost everything better than we can, what does that mean for our jobs, our livelihoods, even our sense of purpose?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's one that Amodei doesn't shy away from. He acknowledges that AI is going to shake things up in a big way when it comes to the world of work.
I mean, it's already happening, right? Automation, algorithms, it's changing everything.
Yeah, and Amodei suggests it's only going to accelerate. Some jobs will become completely automated, others will change beyond recognition. It's going to be a wild ride.
So what can we do to prepare for this AI-powered future of work?
Well, Amodei says we need to start thinking differently about education and job training.
Okay, so like coding boot camps for everyone.
Not exactly. It's
Yeah.
more about focusing on skills that are uniquely human and really hard for AI to replicate. Things like creativity, critical thinking, emotional intelligence, those soft skills that are often overlooked.
So not just learning how to code, but learning how to be human, basically.
Exactly. It's about cultivating those qualities that make us adaptable, resilient, and able to thrive in a world where the rules of the game are constantly changing.
And it's not just about individuals adapting, right? It's about society changing, too. We need to think about social safety nets, policies to support people who are displaced by automation, and how to create a world where everyone has the opportunity to thrive, even if work looks completely different than it does today.
Exactly. Amodei is calling for a fundamental rethinking of our economic and social systems. It's a big ask, but I think he's right. We need to start having these conversations now before the changes become too overwhelming.
So it's not just about embracing the technological possibilities, it's about thinking about the human consequences too.
Exactly. And that's what makes Amadei's vision so compelling. He's not just a cheerleader for AI. He's a thinker who's grappling with the big questions about what this technology means for humanity.
And it's those big questions that we need to keep asking as we move forward into this AI-powered future.
Absolutely. Because the future isn't something that just happens to us. It's something we create. And the choices we make today will determine what kind of future we build.
It's like he's proposing some kind of AI-powered diplomacy, using technology to promote peace and stability.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And he even suggests AI could actually make democracies stronger.
Wait, really? You usually hear people worried about AI eroding democracy, not strengthening it? How does that work?
Well, he argues that AI could help make governments more transparent and accountable, improve public services, maybe even reduce bias in the legal system.
So, like, imagine AI ensuring everyone gets a fair trial, regardless of their background.
Exactly. But yeah, I can see why people would be hesitant giving AI that much power, even in a democracy.
There's always that risk of it being used for surveillance, control, even in a well-intentioned system.
Right. And Amadei doesn't dismiss those concerns at all. He's really big on having ethical guidelines, safeguards to prevent AI from being misused, even in a democracy.
So finding that balance, using AI for good without letting it undermine the values we're trying to protect.
Exactly. It's a tough challenge, but I think it's one we have to face head on.
Absolutely. But let's shift gears a bit. All this talk about AI's impact on the world, but what about its impact on us, on a personal level, like the future of work, for example? If AI can outperform humans in so many jobs, what does that mean for our livelihoods, our sense of purpose?
Yeah, that's the big, scary question, isn't it? And Amadei doesn't sugarcoat it. He's pretty upfront about AI causing major disruptions in the job market.
I mean, it's already happening.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But Amadei thinks it's just the tip of the iceberg.
So like mass unemployment, robots taking everyone's jobs.
He doesn't necessarily say that, but he does emphasize the need to adapt. We need new models for education, job training, focusing on skills that AI can't easily replicate.
So like everyone learning to code.
Well, coding's important, but it's more about those uniquely human skills, creativity, critical thinking, emotional intelligence, all that stuff.
The things that make us human, basically.
Exactly. And it's not just about individuals adapting. It's about society adapting too.
What do you mean?
Think about it. We might need stronger social safety nets, policies to support people who lose their jobs to automation. And we need to figure out what a good life looks like in a world where work might not be the center of everything.
It's almost like Amadei is suggesting a whole new way of thinking about work, about our economy, about what it means to have a fulfilling life.
Yeah, it's a pretty radical shift, but I think he's on to something. We can't just ignore these changes. We have to actively shape them.
So it's not just about fearing the future. It's about creating a future that works for everyone.
That's it, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where Amadei's optimism really shines through. He truly believes that AI can be a force for good, but it's up to us to make sure it happens. We have to be proactive, thoughtful, and most importantly, we have to work together.
So it's not just about the technology, it's about our values, our choices, and how we use this incredibly powerful tool to shape the world we want to live in.
Exactly. And I think that's a message that resonates with everyone, regardless of your background or your views on technology. We all have a stake in this future, and we all have a responsibility to help shape it.
It's a powerful message, and one that I think gives us a lot to think about as we move forward into this uncharted territory of AI. But as we've been discussing, Amadei's vision isn't all sunshine and roses. He's very clear about the potential risks and challenges, too.
Right. He's not naive about the potential downsides of AI. In fact, he's very vocal about the need to address those concerns head on.
Like, what are some of the big red flags he raises?
Well, one of the most urgent ones is the potential for AI to be used for malicious purposes, like developing autonomous weapons systems or super sophisticated surveillance tools.
Yeah, that's the stuff of nightmares.
It is. And Amadei argues that we need international agreements, regulations, something to prevent these technologies from falling into the wrong hands.
It's almost like we need an arms control treaty for AI.
Exactly. We need to be thinking about these things now, before it's too late.
Absolutely. And it's not just about preventing the bad stuff. It's about making sure AI is used for good.
Right. Amadei talks about the need to ensure that AI is aligned with human values. Like, how do we build AI that's fair, unbiased, that doesn't just amplify existing inequalities?
Yeah, those are big questions. And it's not just about technical solutions, it's about ethics, philosophy, really thinking about what kind of world we want to create with this technology.
Exactly. And Amodei stresses that this isn't just a job for experts. We need public engagement, open discussions. Everyone needs to be involved in shaping this future.
So it's a shared responsibility, not just something we leave to the tech companies or the government.
Right. We all have a role to play in making sure AI is used for the benefit of humanity, not just for profit or power.
And that brings us back to something we touched on earlier. The idea of AI as a tool for personal growth and self-discovery. It's an interesting contrast to all this talk about AI's impact on the world, on politics, on work.
Yeah, it's kind of like zooming in from the big picture to the individual level.
And it's a side of AI that we don't always hear about. But Amodei seems to think it has the potential to be really transformative.
Oh, absolutely. He talks about AI acting as a kind of mirror for our own minds.
Like helping us understand ourselves better.
Yeah. He suggests AI could help us identify our strengths and weaknesses, challenge our biases, even guide us towards a more fulfilling life.
It's almost like having a personal therapist or a life coach, but powered by AI.
Exactly. And it raises some really interesting questions like, if AI can help us understand ourselves better, could it also help us become better people?
That's a pretty big if,
Yeah.
but it's a fascinating idea.
It is. And I think it gets at the heart of what Amodei is trying to say about AI. It's not just about building smarter machines. It's about using those machines to help us unlock our own potential, both individually and collectively.
It's about using technology to enhance our humanity, not replace it.
Exactly. And that's a vision that I think we can all get behind.
I don't know about you, but after all that, I kind of feel like we're peeking into the future. Amodei's vision is exciting, but a little scary too, right?
Yeah, it's definitely a lot to process. It's not just like flying cars and robots.
Right.
It's about AI reshaping what it even means to be human.
Right. And that brings up some really deep questions. Like, if AI can outperform us at almost everything, what's our role? How do we find purpose and meaning in a world where machines can do so much more than we can?
It's funny, right? These are questions philosophers have been asking forever, but now they're not just theoretical. They're about to become our reality.
Exactly. And Amodei doesn't give us easy answers, but he does offer a way to think about it. He reminds us that our worth as humans isn't tied to, just being productive or outsmarting machines.
It's about things like love, compassion, creativity, connecting with each other, all those things that, at least for now, AI can't really replicate.
And maybe in a world where AI frees us from boring, repetitive work, we'll have more time and energy to focus on those things, the things that really make us human.
Absolutely. Amodei challenges us to rethink what a good life even means. Maybe it's not about working ourselves to death, but about exploring our creativity, building deeper relationships, contributing to our communities in ways that AI can't.
So it's like, let the machines handle the stuff they're good at and let humans be human.
Yeah, I like that. It's not about AI replacing us. It's about AI helping us evolve into, well, better versions of ourselves.
It's both radical and familiar, right? Like, people have always dreamed of utopia, but now it's technology, not just philosophy, that's bringing it closer.
For sure. But okay, let's get practical for a second. What can we actually do to prepare for this AI-powered future? What skills should we be learning? What conversations should we be having?
It feels overwhelming, to be honest. Where do you even start?
Well, I think Amodei would say focus on those uniquely human skills we were just talking about. Creativity, critical thinking, emotional intelligence, collaboration, all those things.
It's about being adaptable, resourceful, being able to handle whatever curveballs this new world throws at us.
Right. But it's also about having those tough conversations about the ethical side of AI. Like, how do we make sure the benefits of AI are shared fairly? How do we prevent AI from being used to discriminate or reinforce existing inequalities?
Those are big questions, and those aren't just for programmers to figure out, right?
No way. This is about ethics, philosophy, about what kind of society we want to build. We need everyone at the table for that conversation.
It's about making sure AI is developed in a way that reflects our values, our vision for the future.
Yeah. Amodei calls for a real ethical framework for AI, something that guides its development and use. And he's adamant that this framework can't just be top-down, dictated by experts. It needs input from everyone.
Makes sense. You need different perspectives to make sure you're not missing something crucial. How do you even get everyone on the same page about something this complex?
Well, Amodei is a big believer in transparency and open dialogue. He thinks the more we talk about these issues, the better equipped we'll be to handle them. And the more trust we'll build between,
Yeah.
people developing AI and the people who will be living with it.
It's like instead of being afraid of AI, we need to understand it, shape it, make it work for us.
Exactly. He's calling for a shift in mindset. AI isn't some force of nature that's just going to happen to us. It's something we're creating, and we have a responsibility to make sure we create it right.
That's a powerful message. It puts the power back in our hands. It reminds us that we have agency, we have a voice in this.
Totally. Amade's Machines of Loving Grace is really more than just an essay about AI. It's a call to action. It's an invitation to engage in this conversation, to think critically about the future we want to create, and to take responsibility for shaping it.
So it's not just about fearing the robots or getting lost in the hype. It's about stepping up and saying, okay, this technology is coming. How do we make sure it makes the world a better place?
And how do we make sure it makes us better people?
That's the question, isn't it? And I think that's a good place to wrap things up. If you've been listening along, we'd love to hear your thoughts. What excites you about the potential of AI? What worries you? And most importantly, what role do you want to play in shaping this incredible future that's unfolding before us? Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.